My name is Edward Curtin. Today I'm joining the Online Prosperity Show to share my wealth of experience helping to create, operate, and elevate wellness businesses internationally. I'm an Aussie, but I'm not in Australia right now, so be tuned in to see where am I coming from.
Welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Online Prosperity Show, your number one destination for exclusive content on real-world solutions that are driven by real-world transformation. I'm your host, Prosper Taruvinga, and today's episode, we're going to be solving a deep pain. Right, the pain we're solving is, how do you build a truly global wellness business that combines cultural insight, leadership, operations, and measurable growth? Now, as I've mentioned already, in each episode, we bring you stories from exceptional guests who have actually walked the path, cracked the codes, and built the systems. All you got to do is watch, listen, and take notes. And most of the times, our guests have not only done this for themselves, but they've done it for entire industries. And you'll be hearing exactly how they did it and the strategies that you can apply in your own journey. Now, today's guest is Edward Curtin. Now, Edward, how are you doing today?
I'm fantastic. Thanks, Prosper. And thank you for inviting me to your show. Excited about today.
Absolutely. Well, I can't wait to jump into what we're about to learn from you, Edward. Now, for those that are tuning in for the very first time, Edward is from WorldWellness Group, a 30-year executive who scaled brands like Nike Sport Caps, Anytime Fitness, Technogym, and he's also led high-value partnerships with Tencent, howhe, and a lot more other big name brands. What he does is blend Eastern wisdom with Western science to create lasting impact in health, wellness, and business. Now, I could go on and talk about things that I'm not even qualified to talk about. But while I was talking to Edward, behind the scenes, I uncovered that we're going to be talking about how he has navigated cultural changes to actually scale a wellness brand globally. And we're also going to be looking at the invisible lessons that lie behind his methods, because he's mixing two different cultures and leadership development, all the things that have become buzzwords, but he actually lives these every single day. So whether you're launching a class, spa, a wellness platform, or just a coaching service, I think you'll see for yourself, that what you're trying to do has already been figured out. So that's the reason why you need to pay attention to Edward's journey and also take action, because we're going to be talking about his coaching and workshops that he provides. So if you're ready to scale responsibly and sustainably, this is the episode for you. Now, Edward, let's start maybe from where it all began. What is it that drew you to sport and maybe teaching about it and wellness and the things that you're doing right now?
Yeah, thanks, Prosper. That's a really great question. I guess the first thing to point out, people that are looking at me on screen now, you can see, even though I'm an expert on blending Eastern wisdom with Western science, I'm not Chinese. You can see that, right? However, I have had more deep immersion in Eastern culture than most people in the world have, especially Western people. My cultural experience actually began when I was a kid. My mother is from Croatia. My father is an Aussie, but he was in the police force. So as we were growing up, and I was, in my younger years in primary school and growing up, we traveled around a lot in Australia, especially in Queensland, to very, very small towns where where my mum was possibly the only European person in that small town. My mum is Croatian. She's got the whole European culture thing happening, the food that we ate, the liverwurst sandwiches we take to school, like all of these things that were like eye openers for people in these small towns when I was growing up. So I had that little bit of experience with people's awareness of different cultures as I was growing up. Now, as I became a little bit older, I really enjoyed sport. We lived for many years on the East Coast, so Mackay up in North Queensland, later on the Gold Coast. We grew up by the beach. I love surfing. I love the outdoor lifestyle. Surfing from a young age all the way through school, playing sport. So I just really, really love the idea of outdoors and fitness. And my mum in the 1980s actually became a quite famous aerobics instructor. This was back in the early days of the Jane Fonda workouts, where they would wear the fluorescent leotards and the high knee socks and everything. And she would go along to these classes, teach these aerobic classes and aqua aerobics classes. I was immersed in that because I was the DJ. I would take the little boombox along to her class. I would prepare the music tracks for her, and I'd be the person in the classroom pressing play and pause in between the tracks for her while she's teaching the classes. So I got to see these ladies and these gentlemen jumping around, having a fantastic time, doing fitness exercise, led by my mum. So I thought that's a really fun business, a really fun industry to be in. As I went through high school, I started to lean towards education and teaching. I guess I had a little bit of an ability or a passion for playing with kids and for being able to educate kids. So I went to university later on, became a primary school teacher, and then specialized in physical education. So I was teaching children about sports and fitness. At the same time, I'm going to the gym. I'm right into my fitness. I'm still playing sport. I guess, looking pretty fit from the outside. And some of the parents would say to me, "Hey, Ed, how do I lose weight? Hey, Ed, can you show me how to do some exercise?" So one day this dad said to me, "Ed, if I come to the gym with you, can you show me how to do a workout?" And this is a guy that just wanted to lose some weight. I said, "Yeah, sure, why not?" So he came to the gym with me. We did a workout together. He loved it. At the end of the session, he said, "Ed, if I pay you money, can we do this every week?" And I'm like, hang on, that's a good business idea. This is a long time before personal training. Like, we're talking 30 plus years ago, right? Personal training was not even a thing back then. So he became my first so-called customer. He was paying me $20 for 1 hour to take him to the gym and do a workout together with him. And then he introduced some of the other parents. So then I had other mums and dads that were also wanting to join classes. So they were doing a combination of some group classes with my mum, some classes at the gym with me. And I started to grow this little business, like this little fitness personal training business at the local gym before it was even a thing. And I reached a point where my income from that started to get equally as high as what I was earning from teaching. And that's when I thought, well, this is maybe an opportunity to do this as a business. I really, really loved it, really enjoyed it. At the same time, I continued to create kids programs for after school, as well as doing PE teaching. So I really, really got immersed in that lifestyle. Later on, personal training did become an official qualification. I started to grow my business. I was teaching heaps of clients. I remember on Monday, I was starting at 7 a.m. in the morning, finishing at 7 p.m. at night, back to back all day. That was like my busy day. And it got so busy where I had to cut the classes to shorter times. I couldn't do 12 customers in 12 hours. But if I cut the classes down to 30 minutes, I could do 24 customers, or let's say 20. I think the most I've ever done is 20 customers in one day. And that's pretty hard work. Like, it's pretty hard work on you to be able to do that. But I got invited to the Australian Institute of Fitness when they were doing qualifications. And they invited me there one day just to teach some of the students there about how I grew my business. And how I really grew my business was I hit the streets with a little piece of paper, a handwritten letter, and I'll drop it in letter boxes in the local area around the PCYC on the Gold Coast where I was teaching customers. And the letter just said, "Hi, my name is Ed Curtin. I'm a fitness trainer working at the PCYC. If you'd like to have a complimentary personal training class, please call my phone number." And from that, I got my first bunch of customers, and that kind of grew that little business. And then I had another idea. There was a local medical clinic close to around where I lived as well. And I went there one evening time, and on the outside of the window, they had the names of the doctors. There were 6 doctors there. So I took my notepad and pen, I wrote down the names of the doctors. And then I wrote personal handwritten letters. Like, this is, it sounds like I'm really, really ancient, but I'm not kidding. I would handwrite these letters because of authenticity, right? I handwrote these letters and I put a little time out chocolate bar inside the envelope. And the next day I dropped it at the reception of the medical center, personally addressed to each of the 6 doctors. And inside the letter said, "Hi, my name is Ed Curtin. Thanks for taking the time out to read my letter," because I put a time out chocolate bar in there. So a little bit corny, but really, really cool. Anyway, a day later, I got a call from this lady. I'll call her L, and like the letter L.
Yep.
She said, "Hey, Ed, I'm the manager of the medical center where you dropped off these letters, and I'm personally interested in having a personal training class with you so I can learn more about it." So this lady came along to my class. She became my first customer from that medical center. And as the manager of that medical center, she then told all of the doctors, "You need to send all of your customers to Ed Curtin. All the people that have nutrition problems, or they want to lose weight, or they need to do exercise or get in better shape or recover from injuries, send your customers to this guy." And suddenly my business exploded from that little initiative. Sometimes it just takes this small little idea and you never know where it's going to take you. And that small initiative then totally blew up my business. I was training people that had chronic disease, people that were in wheelchairs, people that had all sorts of medical conditions but needed to do exercise. That was a huge learning curve for me because I didn't know how to train someone with diabetes. So I had to do research to work out how to do it, how to manage blood sugar levels and things like that when you're teaching someone. A person that was in a wheelchair, I didn't know how to train a disabled person, so I had to research to learn how to do it. So my learning curve was so fast during that time, being forced to train customers that are outside of the normal range makes you an incredible trainer, and you become very creative about what you're doing. You become very resourceful with the materials you have, the equipment that you have, and so on. One guy one time showed up to class. I called him the night before. I always did a pre-workout call. "Hi, my name's Ed. I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow, Mr. R." He said, "Yeah, okay, see you tomorrow." So he showed up the next day, and I went to shake his hand, and the guy had no right arm. Like, he was a one-armed guy. And I'm like, "Whoa." I said, "Why didn't you tell me that you only had one arm?" And he said, "Oh, I forgot to tell you. It's kind of like, I don't really think about it anymore." He apparently lost it in a farming accident when he was younger. So obviously with one arm, then the body's in balance, right? So the left side of his body was very, very strong. He had some problems with low back pain and things like that. So now I had to find, how do I load up a person with exercise or strength training equipment that can only use one side of his body? And we found ways to do it. Like, we would strap stuff to him, we'd put backpacks on him to do squats. Like, we were doing some really creative and innovative stuff. But this kind of put me on the, I remember the Gold Coast newspaper at that time came and did a story about me and then this guy. And that kind of gave me, I guess, some street cred in the fitness industry, that this is a guy that really, really thinks outside the box and is willing to train people that are a little bit more difficult to work with. Now, this skill set, obviously, when I was working at the Australian Institute of Fitness, I had so many amazing stories to share with the students to inspire them as well. When I'm a personal trainer, I can influence maybe 30, 40 people of my own customers, right? I can change their lives, literally. But when I was an educator at the AIF, now I was training up to 4,000 students per year who could then all go out there and have their own 30 or 40 customers. So now my influence became exponential. And I always remember Bruce Lee. There's the Bruce Lee story. It's a very famous movie, one of my favorite movies. There's a scene in that movie where he's standing in his first dojo in America with his wife with a little pebble, and he drops the pebble onto the wooden floor. and you hear this sound. And he said to his wife that when you drop a pebble in a pond, we only see the first ripple of the pebble, but eventually it spreads out and it reaches the edge of the pond, but we never see that, right? But we know that it happens. We know when I drop the pebble in, that ripple is going to reach every corner, every edge of this pond without me realizing. And what that kind of taught me is when I was training one customer, I was influencing themselves, their family, their loved ones, their workmates, their confidence levels, maybe even people in the future that benefit or have some wonderful relationship with that person because of me helping them to improve their lives. So that was kind of, I guess, a paradigm shift for me to realize what I was doing was really changing the world. You know, if you can change one person, then you're changing all of the people in their lives, and subsequently beyond that. Now, life was really, really good, Prosper. I was living on the Gold Coast. I was driving a beautiful car with the top down, enjoying the sunshine, cruising along the Gold Coast highway. Great job, good business, nice girlfriends. Everything's good. But there was something missing. I couldn't quite put my finger on it. But at that time, I've got 3 brothers, Robert, David, and Stephen. Now, for really strange reasons, they all happened to be in China at that time. This is in 2007, right? I'd already been running my business. I'd already built up my credibility in the fitness industry and doing well. Everything's really, really good. But my brothers, Rob, David, and Stephen, Rob was in China because he was studying at the Hong Kong University and he was doing like some research work there. David, my second brother, he was a professional tennis player. He was touring around the world. He happened to end up in Shenzhen, which is just across the border from Hong Kong and mainland China. And he started a tennis coaching school there, teaching children how to coach tennis, how to play tennis. And then the youngest brother, Stephen, he came over to China first teaching English, and then later on he got into international trading. So he was working in a trading company. Now, I hadn't seen my brothers for a couple of years because we kind of separated. And I said, bros, what's going on over there? And they said, Ed, you got to come over here. It's really, really cool. Like, it's much different to what you think. Now, at that time, I hadn't really traveled much, except maybe going to Bali or Thailand or something like that. I'd never really had much worldwide experience. And so, okay, I booked a trip. Went to visit my brothers in Shenzhen, China. And suddenly my mind was just blown to see what this country is really like is nothing like what people outside in Western countries know. And Prosper, you know, coming from Africa as well, people have no idea what the hell Africa is like based on what they're seeing in the media, right? And in the movies. It's unfortunate, but it's true. And so that lesson in itself was a real kick in the butt for me to let me be more humble and realize the entire world is probably incredible and I need to explore it to find out. So I went into the gym one day with my brother in Shenzhen. We're just doing a workout and a personal trainer came up to us because he was maybe looking at us working out and we had pretty good technique and, you know, pretty fit looking. And he said, "Oh, are you guys professional?" And I said, "Oh, I work in the fitness industry in Australia." And he said, "Oh, we could really do use some training here. Would you come and do some training for our personal trainers?" And I said, "Okay, introduce me to your boss." So a couple of days later, I went to visit the lady. She's the boss of this company. They had 5 clubs at that time. And she said, "Who are you and why are you here?" And I said, "My name is Ed Curtin and I'm here to change the fitness industry of China." She's like, "Whoa." And I said, "And if you'll allow me to use your company as the platform, I will let your company be the most famous company in China because of it." So this lady gave me a great chance. She made me the fitness director of her company. Within the first 3 months, we tripled the revenue in her company by adding personal training and customer service and SOPs and all of the things that we do in the fitness industry. When I left that company 7 years later, we'd grown to 57 clubs from the original 5. So I helped them to grow the business. I was learning about construction. We were designing fitness centers, equipment logistics, marketing, SOPs, manpower, headcount, job descriptions. Like we were doing everything. And I was kind of leading that. And life was good again. Couldn't complain. But I jumped on LinkedIn one day, and on LinkedIn, Prosper, as you know, we get messages all the time from different people. Come and do this and have a meeting with me, and check out my book. And I got a message from a headhunter,
Right.
and he said, Ed Curtin, are you in China? And I said, yeah, I'm in China. He said, there's a project in Shanghai that you might be suitable for. Could we invite you up here to meet the chairman? And I thought, chairman? Well, what sort of company is this? So 2 days later, I flew up to Shanghai. I met the chairman of this company. They were investing $500 million to build a wellness city outside Shanghai. And they wanted someone with my experience to be able to help lead the wellness programs. So another life-changing experience. My income went up, my experience level went up. I started to thrust into learning things just like I was when I was training disabled people and all sorts of people with chronic disease. Now I was learning how to supervise construction projects with heavy machinery, with the hard hat and at the sites where they're digging the ground and everything. I'm now one of these guys. So I had to learn about that. And then I had to learn about finance for $1 billion company, with a budget. I had a personal budget of $20 million to build out a wellness center. So what the hell? I'm learning all this stuff. Of course, they asked me, do you know how to do this? Yeah. I know how to do that. Have you done this before? Yeah. Of course, I've done it before. Hey, what? You know what? Learning as you go. Never say no. Never say you don't know how to do something, because one thing I am very good at is resourcefulness, working out how to learn something and how to find the right people to be able to help me. So I paid money to an accountant to teach me about finance for $1 billion company. I paid money to an architect to teach me about design and construction and things like that. So I was learning and bringing a lot of value to that project. That lasted for 3 years, and then that kind of opened the doors to many other projects after that. The last few years, I've moved a lot into the B2B side, where in China, as you probably know, there's a lot of technology companies here. Oppo, Huawei, Tencent. Tencent is the WeChat company. So WeChat's the largest social media platform in the world, bigger than Facebook. Bigger than Facebook. Sorry, guys. Absolutely. But all these big tech companies are in Shenzhen. There's 4 big super cities in China. Shenzhen is the technology city. Guangzhou, where I am right now, is the culture city. Shanghai is the finance and international business city. And then Beijing is the political city and the tourist city. So they're like the first tier cities. And then you've got like Chengdu, which is like second level. That's like they call it cyber city. And you've got all the second tier level, and then you got third tier level cities. There's a lot of cities in China. The city where I am right now, Guangzhou, has a population of over about 24 million people. So that's similar to the whole of Australia in one city. Yeah. Actually, the apartment building where I'm living right now is probably like there's about 12 buildings here. There's about 20,000 people within 300 square meters of me.
Wow. That's like all of Townsville, right?
Yeah. So, there's a lot of experiences here that just now I've been here so long. I've been here almost 20 years, guys. But a lot of things now you just take, it doesn't mean anything to me. I go outside, I see 10 million people in a day. But it's fantastic. The Guangzhou is the culture city. The food here is fantastic and everything as well. But going back to the technology companies, they all compete for young, talented staff, right? So they Googlify their companies. They put in wellness centers. They put in fitness centers, swimming pools, basketball, massages at lunchtime. They even have like sleeping rooms where they have those Japanese style sleeping pods. Yeah. You scan your little QR code and you go and you have a sleep at lunchtime. They have free food. They mostly have free accommodation. Like it is crazy. The working conditions are unbelievable because they attract these young people to go there. So my role in these projects is to help them to design and build and operate their fitness or their wellness centers. And these are some of the most spectacular locations you can imagine. Like for example, Tencent, the WeChat company in Shenzhen, it's like this massive 45-story building, twin towers side by side. And the sports and rec center is on like the 27th floor, and it joins the two buildings together. They've got a full-size basketball court, full-size Olympic swimming pools. The fitness center has about 25 personal trainers. They have like 8,000 people coming in through there per day. The operations are unbelievable. So to be able to operate at that level, you need systems. You need to be well ahead of all types of business models and operational systems that most businesses have. There's not many people that have that experience, but I've been able to learn it along the way. And so every time there's a new tech company that wants to build a new headquarters, and it's constant, like the Oppo company. So Oppo is a company that does smartphones and technology. Every 3 years, they're building a new headquarters because the business is just growing so much. So every time there's a new headquarters comes online, they bring me to the site where it's still under construction, and they say that building there is going to be our wellness and our fitness or our recreation center. So what do we do with it? So being a resourceful person, I pull together the team. I pull together the architects, I pull together the designers, the equipment factories, and so on, and pull all of those resources together, build a business model for them, and see it all the way through to opening and operations. And I go back from time to time after that. So there's about 25 of those projects right now that are kind of under my supervision. I just go back and check once a month or so, make sure everything's okay. If they need training and things, then I help to arrange it, and so on. So what I've learned through this experience is the importance of operational systems. And I've built basically a 3-tier system: create, operate, and elevate. Because every business in the fitness and wellness industry in the world goes through these 3 phases. First, they want to create something. But what do you want to create? Do you just want to open a yoga studio at your local street because you love yoga? Like, is that the level that you want to strive for? I just want to open a yoga center. Or do you want to open a fitness center with a cold plunge pool and things like that? So a lot of people think very, very small, which is fine because they work within a budget and with their own ability levels. It's no problem. But what I challenge people to look at is, when you're creating something, can you do something that's never been done before in this area? Or can you do something that's going to bring some new type of experience to people in your community? That's the create phase. And then there's the operate phase, which is all about the systemization. Last September, I was in Melbourne actually helping a business that's been around for 40 years. A fantastic business. They've got loyal customers that have been there ever since day one. And actually, some of the families have 3 generations of the same family that are all members. They've got kids coming to do swimming. They've got the parents coming to join the Pilates class, and they've got the grandparents that are there doing some personal training or just working out in the gym. And it's unbelievable. It's so beautiful to see this, to meet these different people and to see how this business is going. But the owner was stuck because he didn't know how to break through to the next level. He had money to invest. He had some ideas he wanted to do, but the operational systems made it difficult. He had managers working in his business that were taking their paycheck and not bringing any more value than what's required to meet their KPIs, if that. He had staff members that were overstaffed at reception. Like, there's 6 people standing at reception, but there's no one on the gym floor and things like that. And it's just a lack of systems, So the first thing I do when I go into a business is I do an MOR, which is a management operational review. So think of it like a mystery customer, but I'm there with very specific ideas in mind is what is the experience for the customer when they're standing in the car park? When they drive their car and park their car, what does that experience look like? Are there cars parked everywhere? Is there nowhere to park? People parked up on the footpath and things like that. That's the first experience. Then walking through the front doors to reception. What do you see? What do you smell? What do you hear? What's that first feeling? That moment you walk in those doors is going to be your memory for the next 10 years if you're a member of that club. So what does that look like? And then the first person that looks at you and smiles at you, what do they say? What's the script? How do they have that communication with you? When someone's touring you through the gym, are they just showing you all of the equipment, or are they asking you questions? A lot of fitness centers still to this day, it's really, really crazy. People come to the gym and they say, "Oh, can I have a look around?" Yeah, sure. This is our group exercise room. That's our Pilates reformers over there. That's our strength training area. Oh, hang on. Maybe I should ask you, what are you looking for? And then maybe the customer says, actually, I had a car accident. I've got a neck injury. I want some rehabilitation. Oh, okay. So none of these things are important to you. So that part of the SOP is so important, finding out what the customer's needs are and then customizing the experience for them. So that's the second part, is about the operations. Create, operate, and the third part is elevate. How do you take an existing business and blow away your competition by elevating what you're offering compared to other people beyond anything ever imagined? And are you using technology to your advantage? Are you thinking about putting things in place now that are going to future-proof you for the next 5 years? A lot of people right now are just putting in cold plunge pools. You know what? In 5 years, no one's going to give a crap about cold plunge pools. It's the fashion right now. And what a lot of businesses do is they play catch up. Oh, Pilates is popular. Let's put in 20 reformers, and they're not cheap either. Okay. Put in reformers. 6 months later, it's going to be something else. Oh, cold plunge pool, because Alex Hormozy is talking about cold plunges. Okay, let's put in
maybe the
yeah, this nose thing, whatever the hell, whatever. Okay, I don't judge, but people are so easily influenced by, oh, this guy's talking about this, or Joe Rogan said, take these supplements or whatever. People are just following, but without doing their own research or without thinking about, that's what's happening right now, but what's next? What comes in 5 years or even 3 years later? Like predicting what's the sentiment of the society and the culture and your local community now. Who are the people living in your local community, and what are their needs going to be in the next 3 to 5 years? That's how you should be planning your business now in advance. So create, operate, and elevate. And I'm actually, like, as we speak, I'm in the final stages of developing my blueprint, the WorldWellness blueprint, which is a one-stop resource book or digital ebook that will walk you through every step of the way, from being a small boutique studio to a multi-billion-dollar wellness city and everything in between. So I'm kind of taking my 30 plus years of experience and putting it into something that is solid and that can be a really handy resource for people to be able to use. So Prosper, that's the short answer to your question, dude.
Well, thank you so much. Every bit that you were going through, you were just answering all the questions as we go, and that's really, really fascinating. And thank you so much for just taking us through all of that, because it does really showcase the depth and the experience that you've gathered along the way. But I just wanted to take us a little bit back to obviously you've mentioned your parents, your mom, and your 3 brothers, and it does look like everybody is sort of achieving at a world-class level. Mom was famous, dad was obviously a cop, and there you are, changing people's lives and literally changing the world, because like you said, it's got a ripple and a knock-on effect with everybody else like that. What was it like growing up? Was there a lot of expectation for people to do well? Because it does look like, everybody turned out A-okay.
Yeah, that's really sweet. There's one element of my dad being a police officer, which when I look back now, it seems quite quite cool. But at the time, there was a stigma attached to that because a lot of the places we lived were small towns. Like one place we lived called Yarika out west had a town population of 25 people.
So 25 people.
Yeah, so the journey for my father, because as a young police officer, obviously needs to work his way up. I think his first station was Rockhampton, and then Yarika, which is way out west near the desert. And then from Yarika, we went to Allara, we went to Warwick, we went to Mackay. We stayed in Mackay for a few years, and then later to Brisbane. So step by step, larger and larger places, and larger and larger police stations and cities. But I remember certainly during our primary school years, we had an expectation on us as the children of the local police officer, because in a lot of the places we lived, he was the only police officer. So everyone knew that, you know, our dad was a copper. So we had to be very well behaved. We had to study well. They put us through some good schools and wanted us to be good examples as a family. So yeah, certainly we're not allowed to play up. We didn't really do anything naughty, I guess. And then my mum, like in the 1980s, because she was a housewife, but when the aerobics industry kind of started, she thought, oh, it might be something she might like to try and do. And then at that time, a lot of mums were stay-at-home mums taking care of families, but she was one of those mums that went out there and started to build her own business. And she was a very social person. She loved being up in front of the classroom and teaching those classes and interacting with all of the people. And I saw the fun that she was having. That was quite inspiring as well. But having 4 boys in our family, plus our dad, so our dad's quite sporty. He's quite an Aussie bloke. We were always playing backyard cricket and footy. Every day after school, we were doing something that was physical or sports related. So that was keeping us busy and occupied. So we weren't sneaking off and smoking in the bushes and things like that, you know. We always kind of played as a family. So even to this day, myself and my brothers, we're all, you know, still close and always catching up. And every time we're together, it's just like the old days. So it's really, really nice, good family environment, I guess. And then it was actually my mum, because I was a primary school teacher, right? And then my mum at that time, she was an aerobics teacher, and she put me onto a book from a guy named Dr. Cooper. So Dr. Cooper, we now call him the grandfather of aerobic exercise. Cooper Health and Wellness Aerobic Center is in Dallas, Texas. Dr. Cooper is now 94 years old. He's still a practicing physician. He sees patients every day. He trains in the gym every day, and he's got one of the most famous medical and exercise medicine research centers in the world. He worked with NASA astronauts back in the 1970s and 1980s to prepare them to go to space. Like, this guy is very, very famous, and he was a doctor. At that time, he was talking about exercise as medicine. The medical profession were fighting against him. They were saying, no, exercise is not medicine. Exercise is unhealthy for you. So he was the first proponent to teach people that you don't need to take all of this medicine, and exercise can solve a lot of the problems that you have. And still to this day, his research lives on, and he lives on, and the programs and practices also live on. Now, I had a really amazing honor in 2016 when I finished the project, the Shanghai project, the $1 billion wellness city. I sent a message to Dr. Cooper because I had met him along the way. He'd come to visit China 1 or 2 times. I met him along the way. I sent out a message to him. I said, Dr. Cooper, I've had this experience now. I really, really believe your programs would be successful in China. Would you consider opening a center over here? Long story short, he agreed, gave the green light. I then led the project of bringing the Cooper Health and Wellness brands to Nanjing, China. Nanjing is another city outside Shanghai. And we opened this mountain resorts where people would come and do health and wellness programs and use exercise as a form of medicine. They would show up with their medical reports. We'll communicate with their doctors, of course, and then based on their medical reports, we would design a lifestyle prescription for them, which included, you know, waking up on time and eating healthy breakfast and doing exercise and moving your body and stretching, all of those good things. And a lot of those people that went through that center were able to stop taking medication and improve their health dramatically. So I certainly have seen many, many times over the years the benefits of movement and exercise for health, not only health, but your mindset as well, your mind health, mental health, your emotional state, your happiness levels. Like there's so many things that are connected to that. And I just finally, I do remember one lady said to me once, she said, Ed, I want to thank you for saving my life. And I was thinking back, I'd worked with her for 2 years. Okay, I helped the lady exercise and she got stronger. And I said, what do you mean? She said, well, before I met you, I was planning to kill myself. And I do recall this lady had some marks on her arms. Like, some people, they do the cutting. So she had some marks like this. And she said, thank you for saving my life. And she said, yeah, before I met you, I had nothing to live for and I was planning to kill myself. But someone suggested I come to do some exercise and it might make me feel better. And she said, over time it did. I improved my confidence and my positive outlook, and it gave me hope. I met some other friends. I also met another gentleman along the way, and her life completely changed. And so 2 years later, she said that sentence to me. And so going back to the Bruce Lee quote, as I said, sometimes you may never know. This was a lady that said something to me. But how many out of the thousands of people that I've had contact with over the years have never actually said anything or had the opportunity to tell me, but their life has been improved because of something that I have done I've set a catalyst or started something that's caused a chain reaction to make their lives better. And me personally, like living in China as a foreigner who could not speak Chinese for the first few years, it's not easy. It's lonely. A lot of foreigners that are in China are probably not the type of people I would usually hang out with in my home countries. A lot of people like to drink and party and just here for like a 1 year stint or something like that. So I tend to keep out of that environment. And during COVID years, during times when the work has not been so available and you're going through some tough economic times and things like that. Holy crap, yeah, there's been some tough times. But what has always got me through is get up, Ed, go to the gym. Just go to the gym. Doesn't matter how bad I'm thinking or feeling. If I'd had a breakup or had something bad happen, go to the gym and then see what happens. And 100% of the time after that workout, something switches. You think, you know what, I feel better. I'm going to go and have a healthy lunch. And then that then becomes another part of the chain reaction. Eating something healthier makes me feel better, gives me more energy, gives me some positive feeling. I'm going to make some notes and make a strategy for what I'm going to do next. And yeah, it's absolutely changed and helped my life as well. And I believe a lot of people can certainly benefit from movement and mobility. We used to call it health and fitness. It's not so much about health and fitness because those words are very generic and people put them into a category. Fitness is like people that go to the gym and do weights. I just call it like, health and mobility or movement and mobility. Moving your body, mobility just means making your body mobile. And when you fast forward to our future selves, when we are 60, 70, 80, 90 years old, what are we going to look like and feel like? It's coming. Those days are coming. I used to think when I was 20 that I'd never be 40. Hey, it came. And that's behind me now as well. Yeah, that's right. And I always remember when I was at school, when I was 17 years old, my mum said something to me. She said, Ed, the next 20 years will fly by very, very quickly. So don't waste any time doing something that makes you unhappy. And it was true. Like 20 years later, I reminded her, I said, Mum, do you remember you said that to me 20 years ago? And it felt like 2 weeks ago, and it's certainly true that the time creeps up very, very fast. So I know, like now I'm in my 50s, my future self when I'm 70s or 90s, what's that going to look like? And I make a picture in my mind what I believe I'm going to look like. I'm going to be mobile. I'm going to be fit. I'm going to be playing sport. I'm going to have lots of energy. I'm going to have a good posture. I'm going to be strong. All of those things. I'm preparing, training for a lifetime, not for the Olympics. That's one of my favorite quotes that I wrote down like many, many years ago when people used to come to me and they say, I want put on muscle. I want to lose weight really, really quickly. I want to do something really, really extreme. And I would say to them, you're training for a lifetime, not for the Olympics. So everything I'm going to do with you is setting you up for your life, not for the next like 2 months. And that's my approach to all of my programming. The programming I do with children for the Nike sports camps is all about building that foundation of sporting ability for children. So Nike sports camps has 12 different programs for all the different sports. But before they go into that sport, there's a foundation program, which is teaching you how to run, how to walk, how to jump, how to throw, how to catch, how to navigate a ball, kick a ball, things like that. Teaching those base skills is foundation. Because how many times do you see children showing up to a basketball class or a baseball class and they don't know how to bounce a ball? They don't know how to throw, or they run like their arms and legs flailing everywhere. And they're like 13 years old. Like, what the hell? What are people learning in school? Like, what are they teaching them? And this is one of the problems that I learned as a PE teacher. The PE curriculum doesn't care so much about foundational skills. It just says, this Thursday is baseball day. Let's go and learn baseball. And when you go to a basketball class or a swimming class, they teach you all the skills for basketball or baseball or swimming. But who's teaching you how to be strong, how to breathe, how to maintain posture and core strength? And when you're running is a great example. I absolutely love running, and I've been doing it 40 years, 0 injuries, because I learned good technique from the beginning. The foot posture and knee posture and breathing and things like that. When I run, I do not wear headphones. I do not listen to music, because I listen to my body, I listen to my footsteps, and listen to my breathing. So it becomes a meditative, immersive experience. Where I live here in Guangzhou, I'm very, very close to a lake and a temple. So a 5-kilometer run for me is literally going to the lake, running around the mountain and the temple and around the lake, and then back home again. It's like 5 kilometers. It's absolutely gorgeous. I see people, practicing their Tai Chi and their Gong Fu, and beautiful birds and taking photos in the temple. Like, it's absolutely gorgeous. Why would I be listening to some hard rock or hip hop music and losing that experience, when I'm running? So it's one thing I highly recommend to people when you are doing any form of exercise, especially running or something like that. Immerse yourself in the experience. Be mindful of what you are doing when you're doing it. And then it becomes a really incredible experience as well. I teach the same thing for business as well, about the experience zones that I spoke about before. When people show up to your club or to your facility, they have different experiences in different areas of your club. But every zone is an immersive experience, including when they're in the locker room. What do they smell? What do they see? Do they see mold and rubbish on the floor? Or do they smell aromatherapy fragrance and have beautiful lighting and nice white tiles and clean towels? That is worth more than anything to most customers, when they go to fitness center. But a lot of fitness centers and a lot of wellness centers, they prioritize spending money on expensive equipment or decoration or some type of construction and things like that, but it's not required. My first places I used to teach customers was the PCYC and the surf club at Palm Beach on the Gold Coast. These were shitty old places. Yeah. But you create that environment, that experience for that member, that it becomes really wonderful for them.
Absolutely. Now, I mean, Edward, I think maybe obviously you're living in China right now, and I don't know if the Uber Eats is as yummy as the one they have around here. And when you sit around and start watching Netflix, it only gives you 15 seconds to decide what you're going to be doing with the rest of your life. You know what I mean? And everything just seems to be working in the way that it does. I think it's systemic that this is how it's been set up, and people are no longer moving, no longer doing all those things like you said, and not connected to themselves. They'd rather be listening to Coldplay while they're running, just in case. It's one of those things. What do you say to the way the system has set people up, pretty much from what you're saying, to fail?
Yeah. Yeah. Speed is prioritized in every aspect of life now. Including, like you said, when you get on your TikTok, most people are like they've got this habit now of just flicking away something I don't want. The next one within 3 seconds, deciding, am I going to watch it or not? Flick.
Don't worry,
Like it's become.
Instagram is actually now scrolling for you, so you don't even need to.
Dude, that is crazy. Yeah. So what I really prioritize now for all of the centers that I work with is dropping down a gear to slow down and make that environment a calm and beautiful place for people to visit. Like I'm tired of the fitness centers where you walk in, the music's blasting and it's high energy and we want people to go crazy and grind. No. There's companies that do that. By all means, if that's the type of person that you are, then you go to those centers. But as I said before, if you want to future-proof your company and your business, don't do what everyone else is doing. Think about that person that is sitting in a Starbucks coffee shop doing their work for 6, 8 hours a day and not moving, but they need to go and do something at the end of the day that's not going to be high stress and maybe a little bit calming and some movement work or mobility or a nice class or a personal training or strength training or whatever. Or the mum and dad, or the grandparents, or the children, or the people with injuries and low back pain. 63% of people experience low back pain. If you just opened a center that said, we are the low back pain specialists, that's the rest of your life right there. That is a golden opportunity right there. And I remember a guy on the Gold Coast opened a business called My Back's Physio, because most people experience low back pain. That's why they go to physio. And he became very, very successful and franchised and went on to do other great things. But yeah, look at what's the future. How do I future-proof my business? Looking forward. And you know what? In the blueprint that I was working on just recently and including this morning, in each of those create, operate, and elevate sections of the book, I've put create level 1, create level 2, and create level 3. So create level 1 is the foundation things you have to do to open a wellness business. Create level 2 is the advanced things that are going to differentiate you and help to make your business successful. And create level 3 is the dream operational model. That's something that has not been done before. But if money was no object and there was nothing stopping you, what could you do with this business idea? And asking people those questions to think outside the box, think about the future technology that's coming. I remember many, many years ago, I went in Victoria to visit the Air Force Training Center in outside Melbourne. I can't remember the name of the city. But one thing I learned there is they said that the aeronautics or the air, I guess the aeronautics technology now, they build planes now with the options for technology that does not exist yet. So it's like, for example, if you use the analogy of a computer box, right? And you've got a motherboard. Maybe there's 12 slots in the motherboard. Right now, you're only using 3 of them, but you've got another 9. You've got another 9 slots in that motherboard to prepare for future technology that's coming. So the aerospace, I think it's aeronautics technology now. They develop like fighter weapon planes now that have got slots to prepare for technology that has not even been invented yet. So if you use that idea for your business, prepare your business now with empty slots that are available for what is coming that's not even being invented yet. What needs or what technology or what products or services that are going to be coming in the future.
Cool stuff. Now, Edward, if somebody's watching this or listening to this and they're thinking, wow, this is quite, handy information, where can they go to on the internet to find some of the work that you've done or look at some of the case studies or just maybe get in touch with you?
Yeah, great. Thanks, Prosper. So, as I said before, I'm a resourceful person. I'm not a person that claims to know how to do everything, but I am a person that knows how to find the right people and the resources to make things happen. So the name of my company is World Wellness Group, and the group means that it is a consolidation of all of the people and resources and companies and products that I've worked with over the years that have been very, very valuable to me. Like, for example, Technogym equipment. I love the brand because I love the quality, and I visited the factory in Italy where they make and produce the equipment. I know what goes into it to give you the finished product. In saying that, working in China, I have access to all of the factories here that make fitness equipment for all of the brands around the world, including some of your favorite UK or American brands. Guess where they're made, my friends? Yeah. And when they get to the end of the production line, they just choose which logo are we going to stick on this one. I'm not kidding you, friends. Anyway, but Technogym, and there are a couple of others that are also made in the original factories in their countries. That's not to take away from the quality of products that come out of China. That's by no means at all, because some of the best quality products in the world come from China, and some of those brands that are all famous around the world get their materials or their raw materials or do a lot of the production in China and then maybe finish at the home country, and then they say assembled in USA, for example. That's usually what happens. So World Wellness Group means that we pull together resources. Visit the website worldwellness.group. You can't get that wrong. worldwellness.group. There you'll see some of our showcase of the projects that we have worked on and we're still managing, and also some links to our store where you can go to look at the future blueprint, which will be on there very, very shortly. And also there's a free playbook there as well, like a wellness business playbook. It's free. Just go and register and download it. You can have access to that. And if you want to book a meeting with me, a coaching call, I do not call myself a consultant, because consultants give you lists of things to do and then you're expected to do them yourself. As a coach, because I've been a sports coach before, I coach you through your business. I'll walk you through it until you've got everything that you need. And then if you need project management, where you need me to come on site with you or to help develop your business model for you, I can also do that. And I can come to your site to help you to prepare and set up your business and until operations. Then we shake hands and I'll support you in the future. So I'm a very immersive person, hands-on. I won't touch anything that I'm not able to support people with. So if we have a call together with somebody and they tell me what they're looking for, and if I don't think I can help you, then I won't go any further. But if I'm sure that I can, I'll let you know what we need to do and then help you make a plan together.
Absolutely. I'll definitely make sure that all those links are in the show notes below so that people can obviously get in touch with you. Now, Edward, I can't thank you enough for the time that we spent on the call today. I mean, your life story and your experience have so much value, and it all weaves in together, to showcase the kind of experience and the person that you have become. But while I was listening to you, I think you mentioned the word future almost 15 times. And it will be remiss for me to not ask. So now that we know where you're at, you've brought us into your world. What's next? And especially, what sort of trends in global wellness do you think most businesses are missing right now that they can actually maybe get on board a little bit faster than their competitors who are not listening to this show, and obviously now get in touch with you to, match that, what's missing to what is possible for them?
Okay, thanks for the question. I'll just mention three very quickly. The first one is called Affinity OS. Affinity OS is an AI-powered digital NPS Promoter Score. NPS is Net Promoter Score. This is something that we ask your customers about their sentiment of your company. So it's kind of like a customer service survey, but it goes deeper than that to look at what's the person's feeling when they're standing in your locker room, and what's their results they've achieved by attending your classes and so on like that. And if someone has a very high NPS or a very high Net Promoter Score, it means they're much more likely to promote your business to their friends and family. If your Net Promoter Score is, I think it's 5 or below, like if it's like less than half, then that person is either not going to bring any more customers to your business, or they may even cost you future customers by sharing bad things about your company. So Affinity OS is like a digital version of being able to do that. I highly recommend it, and I use it on a lot of the projects that I work on. The second one is Sweat Pro. Sweat Pro is digital online fitness classes that you can put into your business to offer hybrid versions of group exercise classes. One of the biggest costs in any fitness or wellness industry is the manpower cost, and especially to pay an instructor to come and teach your classes during the quiet times or when there's not many people showing up. Like to pay someone $80 or $150 in some cases to teach a class with only 3 people in it is a bad business decision. So having a hybrid version of group exercise classes means that you can have a live instructor during the peak times where you've got 25 people and the live instructor's there, and it's on fire and everyone's going crazy and having a great time, like my mum, Biba. But during those other times, you can still offer classes, and you can test and measure which classes are getting traction, which classes are people booking in to go and try, like things like Piloxing or TRX and things like that, where you can try these classes on an on-demand version, and doesn't cost you anything because you just pay a monthly subscription. You have unlimited access. So having hybrid versions of classes is a great way to bring value and variety to customers. And the third one is called PH360. PH means personalized health. And it's a company that's now doing AI lifestyle, I'll call it prescriptions, AI generated lifestyle prescriptions based on your body type, your history, your injuries. Like there's many, many elements about your body and your life, and designing customized programs for you to show you what's the best foods for you to eat, which foods are best for your energy, what times of the day is optimal for you to sleep and to do exercise, and so on. But what I've just seen recently happening here is really, really crazy. The guy named Dr. Cam McDonald, he's a friend of mine, and we're working on something together right now. He showed me the newest version of this system, where your doctor, so let's say Prosper is my doctor, Dr. Prosper. You look and you sound like Dr. Prosper. When I open up my app, Dr. Prosper shows up on my app. It's exactly you. It's an AI generated twin of you speaking to me as my doctor. I will send you my blood work, or I'll send you my latest information from my last medical check, and then you as my doctor will be speaking to me in real time as my doctor's twin, looking and sounding like you, my doctor. And then this person can give you reminders. Hey, Eds, it's Dr. Prosper here. It's time for your workout. 2 p.m. is the optimum time for you with the most amount of energy. Go to the gym. Let's do it. And it doesn't have to be your doctor. It can be your fitness coach or your yoga instructor or whoever you choose, but you can make a digital twin of that person, and then they can be the person speaking to you. AI generated, it looks 100% real and authentic. And Dr. Cam showed me a side-by-side of the original doctor and the generated one. You cannot tell the difference. So this is where it's going now. And you know, with AI, it's advancing or doubling every 3.2 months. Like let's say every 4 months, the capability of AI is doubling. That means from now to 4 months later, it's going to double its ability from where it is now. 4 months later, double again, and so on. So within the next 5 years, it's like 1 million times better than what AI is doing for us right now. So it's not going anywhere, but using it as a valuable tool can do amazing things for your business. Don't be afraid of it, but it's an extension of who you are. If you are really lovely, well networked and good good communicator person, then AI will help you be even more of that. If you are a professional, a professor, a scientist, a researcher, AI will help you be more of that. And if you are a person doing business like me or doing project management, it helps me to be more of that.
Absolutely. Now, Edward, I'm going to ask you to put your index finger on your nose and then wiggle your pinky, just so we know this is not your AI we've been talking to.
It's me. It's me.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for sharing with us your journey. Like I've said, I mean, obviously the wins and all these invisible lessons that, and also the future tech. I was taking notes of all these things that we all have to be on the lookout for and things of that nature. I can't thank you enough for spending this time with me today, Edward.
Yeah, thank you. It's been my pleasure. It's a privilege and very happy experience to be able to share the story. And
Absolutely.
hope that by dropping this pebble in the pond, that it may positively influence other people in the future, and you go on to create incredible businesses based on something that you've heard here today.
Absolutely. And for those that are watching and listening right now, if you've ever dreamt of maybe turning your wellness passion into a scalable global business, I just think Edward's methods and coaching are really worth serious consideration. I'll be putting all those links in the show notes so you can check out what he is working on, and also if you want to partner or just really see some of the stuff that he's working on. Okay, so also if you're watching this right now, if this episode really resonated with you, please subscribe and share it with somebody who needs to hear it, and be sure to turn on your notifications so you do not miss out on any of the next episodes that we're having. And I've just got word that the next one we're going to be diving into ideas that will help you design a happier existence so you can turn your values into impact and live a more fulfilling life. Now, I can't thank you, Edward, enough for the time that we've spent on the call today. And for those that are listening and watching, thank you so much for tuning into the Online Prosperity Show. Until next time, bye for now.